Well, hello, and welcome back to Drinking Alone with Friends, the show in which I drink alone, and I wish my friends were here. We're gonna give Sasha Petrovsky's regarding cocktails another chance after the last couple nights. I know it's been rough. Thanks for bearing in there with me. Today's recipe, the one I'm interested in, is a martini variant called the Spring Forward. And the Spring Forward is made famous by the John Dory Oyster Bar in New York, which is essentially a classic martini build with 2 ounces of gin and 1 ounce of dry vermouth. But rather than use a traditional garnish, i.e. a cocktail onion, an olive, or a lemon twist, they use a spring onion. But we're going to give this martini another twist towards the end, which you will see, and that is a double entendre. Okay, so what are we using here today? We're going to use 2 ounces of the gin, and I'm going to choose the Aviation gin. I think it's a normal, clean, dry gin. I've said this before, and I think because we're really looking at what the difference in the garnish is here, something that's straightforward is going to kind of let that speak with the most volume. Now, what are we going to do differently? Well, you notice that I have both a lemon and a spring onion. Well, I'm going to do head-to-head 2 different martinis and see what the difference is. It's also going to double our chances of not having a shitty drink, which after the last couple of nights, I feel like we really need. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so 1 ounce of dry vermouth, and I'm using the same Via brand. I think this is a reasonably priced, not crazy expensive, but still pretty high-quality vermouth. Not like getting the straight like Martini Rossi or something kind of low quality. Especially if you're going to be using, like a lot of people, there's a lot of contention about what a real martini is, right? I mean, there's like the James Bond martini where he dilutes it by shaking it. We will not do that. We will be stirring the martini. Some people saying like a martini should have no vermouth, like you should show the martini the vermouth, but not actually put any in the glass. But the true traditional recipe really is a 2-to-1, and so we're going to put a lot of vermouth in this one, as well as some cracked ice, and then give this bad boy a stir. And everything here has been chilled except for the gin. I've often thought about like putting the gin in the freezer in advance. Nobody seems to do that, and I'm curious why not if you're trying to get everything really cold. But in any case, fresh ice, chilled strainer, chilled coupe glasses, and give this guy just a stir. And when we're done stirring here, we're going to do half of it into the first glass. Now, the recipe for the Spring Forward actually calls for muddling the spring onion first, just lightly, not to bring out too much bitterness, and then to garnish with the spring onion. But because I don't want the spring onion flavor in the classic martini for comparison, what I'm going to do is pour that. Hopefully that's roughly half. Now we're going to give this guy a little bit of a muddle here. And then, this is sort of, I know this is a little heretical for the original recipe because we're muddling with the ice here. And I'm kind of struggling because now I've like got it hiding between 2 big ice cubes and I can't get it. And I'm just trying to pulverize that thing in there. Anyway, I just want to give a little bit of maceration to this onion to get the flavor in there. And then see how the 2 go head to head. So, other martini lore, I mean, famous drink, very classic. There are different variations when you order a martini in a bar, interestingly. So, like, if you were to order an extra dry martini, that would indicate that you do not want any vermouth in there whatsoever, which would essentially be a glass of cold gin. And there's nothing wrong with that, to be fair. Then there's the dry martini, which is just a tiny, tiny whiff of gin. And then a regular martini, which traditionally has a tremendous amount of vermouth in it, which I think is interesting because the classic recipe seems to be pretty vermouth forward, which is, again, why I think it's important to use a quality vermouth. So hopefully I got enough maceration of that onion, not too much, and hopefully we did kind of an even pour. Let's see how we did. Yeah, that's like almost perfect 50-50. Okay. So let's give our respective garnishes. Now, the header on this drink talks quite a bit about not giving too much of a squeeze on the lemon, because if you get too much essential oil out, it will overpower the drink. And so I gave that a very gentle squeeze, and we'll see how we did. But we have it, a classic martini on the right and a Spring Forward on the left. Cheers, or double cheers. And this is the martini. I think that is good. I think actually I kind of want more lemon, to be honest. Like a little bit more lemon in there would be nice. Let's see how the spring onion did. This one actually has a lot of like bright, fragrant aroma from the spring onion as a garnish, and I actually love that. I think that's really good. Between the two of them, maybe just because I didn't do a good lemon job on the first one, but I gotta go with the spring forward here. But both reasonable drinks. Double cheers, double win. We're back to 0.